Yeah.
All right, we'll call this next meeting to order. This is a specially called meeting. The Orange County Board of Education pledges to its citizens to conduct its business in a courteous and productive manner, showing respect for fellow board members, staff, and its citizens. The board asks its citizens to conduct themselves with the same courtesy towards school personnel and each other. The board asks that you check your cell phones and other electronic devices to be sure they are either turned off or on vibrate to avoid interruptions. Since we did do a moment of silence and the pledge, we will skip those items since we did those earlier in the meeting. And we'll move straight to the agenda. We have two agenda items. The first item up for discussion is contract with Core Management for RFP and quality inspection services. Dr. Felder?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Abington. And so I am going to hunt to Mr. Abley, our Deputy Superintendent, who's joining us remotely. So, Mr. Abley?
All right, great. Thank you. Good evening, Board, Dr. Felder, and folks there this evening. I know you've had a long night. Do have two agenda items, and I appreciate you allowing us to bring those forward this evening in your special called meeting. The first is a contract with Core Management for a request for proposal and bid process on our custodial services. Core Management was utilized in the district in 2019. They have assessed the district previously, looking at our custodial services, both in-house and outsourced, along as with our ground services, and they provided a report to the Board of Education. Part of their technical services they provide is assisting the district with bid, soliciting bids and getting a bid analysis completed. They will go through and assist us with project kickoff meetings, making sure that the RFPs and scope and specifications are designed as needed by the district. They will help with all scheduling of tours of the facility, clarification responses, and then help us navigate the bids that are received back. There are two parts to the proposal we're bringing this evening. The first is for those technical RFP services. We are trying to have the scope and terms and conditions posted this week. We are working with staff attorney, with the school board attorney to make sure that all of our terms and conditions are up to date and included within the bid specifications. And so the technical services are listed and provided. I mentioned the second part is starting in July 2023, we would utilize the Smart Inspect software. That would be a requirement of all the submitting bidders. If they are selected to provide services to the district, they would be required to utilize that software, and that allows monthly calculations and allows analysis done of the cleaning and specifications that are happening in the schools based on key performance indicators in the cleaning schedule. And the reason we're asking for this to be approved by the board at this time is very specific, so that we can put that within the RFP, the scope terms that the vendors who are soliciting bids are submitting bids would be required. They will know what the expectations are. And then the second piece to that would be, there would be quality inspections that are completed during the 2023-2024 school year, at least twice per year. Core Management would come in and do an analysis of both in-house and outsourced services and be able to provide a report card back to the quality of the services being performed. And then we want to hold the vendors accountable if should there be any credits or should there be any terms or conditions that they've not met, where the district would not be in a position to pay for services that weren't rendered. And so it does provide a third party independent analysis of the services that are being completed. So that's why we're asking for it now, is so that we can be very specific with the vendors that are submitting bids as to what the inspections will look like and what the requirements will be next year as we evaluate the services that they're providing. Certainly, if the board wanted to reduce the cost, right now we're recommending that all 13 schools receive quality inspections twice per year so that we can look at the total program in-house and outsource services. Certainly, one option would be to just only do the quality inspections at the schools that have the outsourced services. And that would be, a way to reduce some of the cost if we wanted to look at that. But I am recommending we, at least for any outsourced services, we get those specifications and terms in the bid package before it's posted. Questions or comments?
I have a question.
Bonnie?
Is there a reason that we wouldn't ask as part of the proposal for the vendors to tell us how they would propose to handle their quality management services? So rather than pay another firm to do it, let the companies give us quality management as part of their proposal.
I think that's where we run into issues with these large contracts. One, with staffing, and two, ensuring that the specifications are being completed, because as they're evaluating themselves, the district as the owner may not be getting the services rendered. And so it is very helpful to the district to have an independent individual company that is working on behalf of the owner, providing that and utilizing the industry standard, which is the Smart Inspect software. And any vendor, we're paying a cost either way, because if we ask the vendors to provide it, they're going to add the cost into their fee proposals as well. But we feel like it values us better by having us control that, having us working to get those services evaluated, and then us holding the vendor accountable to the services provided for the cost being paid.
Okay, and just to clarify, it's $9,500 for the RFP, and the quality inspection services are how much?
It's $6,000 for the software, and then the quality inspections are the remaining $18,000 per year.
So $24,000.
Correct.
Okay.
Just one thought and a question. The thought is, Patrick, I remember when Core Management did an earlier assessment of the upkeep of the buildings, and it might just be helpful if we still easily have accessible some of the materials you shared in that meeting, just so the board can see the kinds of checklists and like quality evaluation they did. I found it really helpful to see at that point.
I do. Go ahead.
My question is just who on our team will be sort of overseeing the contract with Core Management to ensure that they're doing the quality, like their assessments?
Yeah, so Lorenzo Eason, who is our district custodial supervisor, I've been working directly with him and with Core Management, reviewing the all of the aspects from the previous RFP, what's worked, what hasn't worked, things that we need to clarify, things that we need to change, especially with expectations and staffing levels. That's one of the biggest key areas. And so him and I have been working to ensure that Core Management understands where we had some pitfalls in that contract. And then the previous RFP did include the Smart Inspect. Now, I was not in the district when that contract started, but my understanding is it was done the first year and then it was stopped. And I don't know if that was, through COVID or if there was issues, but, again, this is why I feel it's important for the amount of money spent on a custodial contract for the district, that there is a high quality inspection and accountability process built into it.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. And there's certainly the director of maintenance or anyone that's in the operations role would be part of that key team that's working with core management.
So I just had a couple of questions. With this RFP, does that mean we're not considering doing this in-house?
No, sir. So part of what core management will be doing is they already have the analysis that they completed in 2019. We do have a couple schools that have changed square footage since then. And so they'll be reviewing the number of hours and the number of custodial staff that it would take based on the number of students enrolled in the square footage and location. And they will be providing. So when we bring back the bids from the RFP, we will also have the in-house analysis completed, and the board will be able to see, do we want to look at in-house? Do we want outsource, or do we want what we have now, which is a hybrid of the two? That part of it, the in-house, is not part of the RFP, but it is something that core management is working with the district. And you asked for that, and we will assure you that when we bring the bids back, we will have the in-house analysis as well, because it is something that we do need to review if now is the time to bring more of the services in-house, especially because of the pandemic. The labor costs have gone up, 20% plus in some fields in some areas. And so, this may be a good time to review that and see if in-house makes better sense for us at this point.
Okay, and the second question I had is, I know we've had problems with the quality and trying to ensure we're getting the best quality in all our schools. And I know at one point we assigned a maintenance person who part of their job was to manage and work with our vendor. And then we added the head custodians to help give us eyes in that. So if we shift to this quality software and measurement, how do their roles change? And then also, how do we ensure the vendor, if we go with a vendor, those penalties are actually seen? Are we putting those penalties in the contract to say, if you fail these audits, you're going to be hit with 10%? Anyway,
That's
so just
correct. Same with staffing levels as well. If their staffing levels fall below certain thresholds, then there is a penalty for that, because that then requires additional hours and time on our part, whether it's the head custodian or daytime staff in our buildings, to catch the buildings back up from the work that was not performed. And there's a cost to the district for that. Head custodians, we would like them to be trained in the software, because we feel like it's a very valuable tool for them, not only finding things, but being able to report and being able to monitor the areas that we expect to be cleaned on a regular basis and cycle. And then the second piece to your question, with the head custodians, we want them to be an active participant in the building management as a facilitator. And so we wanted to be very clear in this RFP that changing light bulbs and ceiling tiles and those types of maintenance activities, the head custodians will handle. And we're not going to be asking our contractors to do that kind of work, because we want them focused on cleaning, but we also don't want them increasing the cost, because we're expecting them to do additional services except for cleaning the buildings.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from anybody? All right, this is an action item. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Dr. Moore. All right, that motion passed and is approved. The second item?
The second item is a contract, and also we looked at an in-house, just much to the same thoughts that were just conveyed about the custodial contract. We have a key position that was vacated. It's our grounds care supervisor, and that position was vacated in March, and it is a vacancy. And we had already begun the discussion as far as, does it make sense to outsource some of our ground services or to do those services in-house. We're just not able with our capacity. We only have one additional grounds crew member on the maintenance staff to add the sites that this individual was covering along with the supervisor for grounds role to be able to just absorb that under the maintenance team during the 40-hour work week during the week. And so we looked at two options. Option one was we do have a contract currently with Murray's Landscaping and Horticultural Services for grounds care at many of our site locations. And we asked them for a quote as to the next several months, looking at, the next 3 or 4 months until June 30th. What would their cost be to pick up those service sites for us? And that cost was approximately $12,900. And then we also looked at, and that's comparable to what we would have been paying a staff member for the same amount in time in that grounds care supervisor role. And so that really is a no cost savings to us for that option one. Option two, we looked at, which would be a stipend after hours extra duty contract for staff members to complete the services after hours at nights. That we do have longer days now. Nights are on the weekends, and that would like to earn extra compensation to be able to perform those duties. And looking at that and paying staff members $250 per week for taking care of the grounds. We're recommending two individuals, approximately 15 hours each per week. That would cost us approximately $7,500 for the remainder of the fiscal year, and the district would save approximately $5,000 with that plan, while giving staff members the ability to earn some extra duty compensation. So our recommendation was for the option two, and you see in Assembly the motion for that, just to allow staff members the ability to do some of that work from the vacant position, while giving us the ability to save some costs at district level. And these individuals who would be permitted to do this work are already permitted based on the fact that they either work in maintenance or they're part of the custodial or grounds crew who are already doing this type of work. We would, obviously want to make sure individuals that we have working independently and cutting and mowing, et cetera, are permitted to do so and are properly trained.
All right, any questions from anybody?
I have one. Patrick, with the shortage that you now have in maintenance and people that have left, would it not be better to let those people that are there be doing some things that need to be done? If they want some overtime or can get overtime, let them be doing things that you can't get everything done during the week, and let somebody else do the mowing. I mean, to me, I know y'all are pushed. So that's just a thought that I had.
Yeah, so certainly, and appreciate that. We certainly want to offer this to the maintenance staff, the individuals that are there, being able to work it in. That's one of the questions that has come up, and Ms. Rath may be able to add some insight to that. Based on policy, staff members typically earn comp time and not overtime compensation or overtime pay. And so we certainly want to give the staff the ability to earn additional comp time by putting in extended hours. But really what staff are asking for is additional compensation for the additional time.
So do you have staff that have said they want to do this mowing?
We do. Now that may change tomorrow, but we did when we put the proposal together. So we do anticipate, having staff. If obviously we don't have the staff either on the maintenance team or with our head custodians, then obviously we'll need to bring back a different option or a different plan to the board.
I just had one question. Have we had any concerns with the company that you have listed here that's been mowing the others, or they've been doing a good job, or?
They've been doing a great job. None that's been brought to my attention, sir. So, I mean, they have been a vendor with the district for about over 3 years now, and I'm not aware of any current concerns.
Okay, fantastic. I was just curious, because, we don't hear about a lot of vendors, so glad to hear that.
And I will say, I mean, that contract, we are working on the custodial RFP from agenda item 1 tonight, but that is a service bid that we will be putting out as well, and getting new bids in for that contract by June 30th to bring to the board.
Yeah, I know, just as a side note, I know that vendor does CTE work as well and offers our students in our schools to learn about small machinery, how to repair them. So I know that they do some of that additional items as well. So thank you for the update.
One other question that I have, are the people that are doing the mowing, are they going to be able to service the equipment if it breaks down? Or is this going to have to go back to somebody in maintenance?
No, yeah, we do both. We do it in-house, and yes, individuals who are permitted and who utilize small machinery like lawnmowers know basic troubleshooting and OEM processes in order to make minor repairs or keep things running. But certainly any of our commercial grade mowers, if they have an issue, then they would come back to maintenance for review. And we provide all the equipment.
Okay, thanks.
All right, with that, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the recommendation for option 2, so that's the additional duty stipends.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. That concludes our special meeting agenda. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye? Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank everyone for all their time tonight for the multiple meetings. Have a great night.